Welcome to the LaSTEM Collective Podcast, a monthly partnership of the SCILS Region 8 LaSTEM Center and Louisiana Delta Community College, bringing you conversations and accomplishments, opportunities and experiences in the Louisiana Region 8 STEM ecosystem and beyond. And now, here are your hosts, Ryan Pierce and Kathy Cox-Boynule.
Morning, morning.
Morning. I'm going to cut the music right now because it has gotten crazy already this morning.
It's already off the hook, yeah.
We have had some interesting conversations, but I will say this, right? It's been such a good time. I feel like it's been a long time since we've talked, although it's only been, I guess a month or so, maybe a little bit less than that.
Well, we're running a little behind.
Yeah, is that what it is?
We're running a little behind.
Schedule changes and whatnot.
It's my fault all the way.
Well, so here we go. But thankful that you're here. Thankful to be alive. I know that sounds kind of cliche, but I felt good today. I was driving into work today. I felt energized, and I wanted to get your take on how are you feeling right now?
Well, actually, thank you for asking, because part of the reason that we're running behind is that I have been battling shingles, and this road driving down I-20 this morning, we were a little concerned because it'll jar you up to your teeth sometimes, and just dealing with it. But I got to tell you, I've kind of I've had this whole mindset of gratitude around it, because there's always somebody that has something worse, and I've been able to manage it. And Ryan, just in all honesty, I've come to the conclusion that dealing with shingles is STEM. It is STEM. We're here to talk about STEM. Okay. So let's look at that. Let's look at that.
Yeah, talk to me about that.
So I've got this. Of course, I'll say everything is STEM, because I think STEM connects to everything we do. And a lot of people think that when we are focusing on STEM, our whole objective is to have kids become scientists, technicians, engineers, mathematicians. And really, STEM is all about a mindset around problem solving. I must have said something that was profound, because that just came from the heavens, and I love that. That's right. See, STEM is a mindset around problem solving and critical thinking. And when you're dealing with things in the world, obviously STEM is important when we're addressing the grand challenges that we have in our world: access to clean water for everyone, that kind of stuff. But in our own everyday lives, if we can't manage the challenges that come up and problem solve our way through it. I mean, I am sitting here in a problem solving circumstance myself just to be here today. And if you can't critically think about the things that are impacting your life, then you are not going to be able to live life to the fullest. And so just managing shingles has been an exercise in my STEM mindset. And I'm kind of proud that I'm sitting here today able to do it. It's not an easy thing, and I'm glad everybody can't see the full picture, but it's all good. It is. It's all good.
Yeah, and one of the things that comes out of when you deal with things that are tough to deal with, right? Like I think you already said, is that sense of gratitude, that we have the medicines that we have that can assist with this, that it doesn't have to be quite as bad. It's tough. I mean, I have never had it, but my father's had shingles. I've known other family members, and it is no fun. You told me earlier today, the symptoms of that make it to where you can't stand anything to touch you at all, not your clothing, nothing. And yet, so gratitude is one thing that we're thinking, because, man, thank goodness for science, There's the S in STEM.
That's it. And in fact, I'm going to take my science a little further, because the minute I am able, I'm getting the shingles vaccine. We don't want to have to deal with this anymore. And so you learn. I mean, we should always be in a mode of learning, and I continue to do that. I like to think of myself as a lifelong learner. So I'm going to get this behind me, and then we're going to just tackle something else.
Amen. Amen. When this all happened, right, when this was all happening, did you have to use a method of communication by chance to reach out and ask a question, or maybe, see if you could get some help? What would that method of communication be?
Well, so let me just tell you, when
you know where I'm going with this.
I do know where you're going, and I'm gonna weave right in there with you. So, when you live a really a really full life, which I do. I have a lot of irons in the fire. That means you're scheduled to the max. Well, suddenly you find yourself needing to be unscheduled. And so I was on my cell phone texting people right and left. I mean, I'm not going to be able to be there. I was supposed to go to Minneapolis. Things had to be changed. I mean, because my whole life had to shut down because of this. Mm-hmm. And so I was trying to quickly communicate with everybody. So I pick up my cell phone, and here I go. And I was able to do it very quickly. No problems. I was emailing. I was texting. Every now and then I would actually talk to somebody, not my favorite thing, on a phone. There is a reason for that. But anyway, yeah, I got it done. So my cell phone actually kind of saved me a lot of grief. We'll just put it that way.
I remember getting a text from you, and this was before. I think that you were really suffering at the moment, but you still managed to, get a text message to me.
I
Just
bet
to
it
say,
had a
hey,
smiley face too.
it probably did. I could feel the joy coming through, or maybe the grinding of teeth as you were, working through some things. But yeah, the reason why, and I appreciate you talking about the telephone, because our associate producer, Tom, who's sitting in the back, you might see him, catch a glimpse of him through the camera. He has informed us that today is a special day. It is National Telephone Day. April 25th is National Telephone Day.
There are people celebrating everywhere over this, I guarantee you.
I hear the cheers, all over. And so, of course, our friends at nationaldaycalendar.com, that this post is up there for the thanks to them, and we're just kind of using it. So we're thankful to be able to use this. But here's a little bit of the history, right? As we read, on April 25th, we observe National Telephone Day. Around the world, there are 9.82 billion mobile phones, and while some predicted the landline to be obsolete by 2020, there are still about 931 million landlines around the world. Yeah, we do too. I don't think that that's going away anytime soon. And one of the things is we feel like it's a safety net, because if you need to make a 911 call, they know exactly where you are.
Or if you have a parent that thinks cell phones are from the devil, he's only going to call you on the landline, and that would be my father, Bill Cox. Now, I mentioned a while ago,
classic.
I mentioned a while ago, and he'll appreciate that. Shout out to Daddy. So I told you a while ago that I don't really like talking on the phone. I kind of alluded to that. It's probably one of my least favorite things to do in the world. I'll send somebody a quick text. I don't mind emailing. I don't like talking on the phone. People are like, "What's wrong with you?" And I think it goes back to, this is actually true, when my family moved from inside the city limits of Ruston to the country when I was going into junior high. Things where people can't even imagine. This was 1970, and we didn't have the technological, advances that are here now. So, y'all, there were really no phone lines out there. And our rotary dial phone, was in a box on a tree in our front yard. Now, I know there are people thinking, what are you talking about?
In a box?
In a box, a wooden box on our tree.
So you had to walk outside.
You had to
use the
walk
phone.
outside to the front yard. We also had, that wasn't the only thing. There wasn't a water system. We had to dig a well. It was the whole deal.
Wow.
And so this was Green Acres come to life, right there. But our phone was in a box. We were on a party line, which meant we shared that line with 6 or 8 other households. And so to make a phone call was a pretty big ordeal. You go out to the yard. It could be raining, or whatever. It's cold. You have to get on the phone, open the box, get the phone, talk on it, and somebody else might already be on it from another family. So it was just really like, why would I even do this? I became very uninterested in that at a young age.
Didn't like any of that technology at all.
Yeah. It was like, forget it.
Did you have to put a quarter in, or a dime, or a
No,
nickel?
but I have used many a payphone, that is for sure. In fact, there's still places that we'll travel, and you'll see some old payphone over there that is obviously the handheld thing will be yanked out of it, and it's just, but you can't bear to tear it down because it's like a piece of history.
Here's the reason why you can't tear it down. Superman changed his clothes.
That's right.
In the phone booth. Okay,
that's exactly right.
So
that is exactly
those around.
Right.
I've seen some phone booths that have been repurposed, in recent times.
It's cool.
They've done. I think the latest thing I've seen probably is not that novel, but books. You can get books out of them. I think might have been in El Dorado. I think there's a place where you can get books out of an old telephone booth.
It is in El Dorado on the square, and they've made it into those little free public libraries, and so you just go and get it. There was a movie that came out some years ago. I think it was called In and Out, but there's a hilarious scene on it where this supermodel goes home to her boyfriend's hometown, and it's a small town anyway. They're in the motel, the only place you can stay there, and he tells her to make a phone call, and she goes over there, and there's a rotary dial phone, and she's punching it. She doesn't even know how to do the rotary dial. She's just punching it because she's never seen it.
Right, she's thinking it's touch tone.
She's thinking it's touch, and
actually,
she can't get it to work.
And what's funny, my grandma, she had a rotary phone until AT&T, a landline rotary phone until AT&T told her, you can no longer have this, and she was forced to change to a touch-tone phone. But she kept it as long as she possibly could until they wouldn't support it anymore.
Well, when you threw the first thing up about National Telephone Day, and it showed I think they were called little princess phones, I remember my mom getting me one of those, hoping that I would become more interested in. Yeah, see it right there. It was obviously it was a harvest gold to match the early American, decor of our home. But and it was in my room, and I still could care less. I just did not want to. I much prefer talking to someone in person. And my mom, this is very interesting, and here's a shout out to my mom. She really understands how I tick, and so she learned early on I was not going to talk to her on the phone. But I promised her, I said, Mom, I will email you every day. And I do. I email my mom every day. It's almost like writing a letter. And so that's how we communicate, because I'm just not a phone person. But I'm all about celebrating National Telephone Day because my husband has his nose in a phone all the time, and he loves it. And so there you go. He does it for both of us.
I will make sure I send a text before I ever dial your number from here on out.
I may not answer.
I've been warned.
That's it.
So as we move on to past National Telephone Day, thank goodness for technological advances, all things STEM we talk about here on the show. Let's move on to something I think that's very important that probably doesn't get enough love or hadn't gotten enough love on the show, but we're going to give it some love today. And I want to bring your attention to the wonderful, the magnificent, exceptional Facebook page. Let me scroll up a little bit so we can see SCILS Region 8 LaSTEM Center. Here's a wonderful picture.
Oh, yeah.
Now, interesting, right? 15 likes, 34 followers. Now, I know that there are more people in the region that are interested in STEM, so we need to get that number up. And we're looking for 50. So I know that this can happen between now and next month. We can get 50 followers easily. All you have to do is just tell a friend, look up SCILS Region 8 LaSTEM Center on Facebook, and then you can get to it. Yes, go ahead.
And so I was going to say, Ryan, I mean, we're pretty new to the social media thing. We started the podcast before we ever were doing any social media.
Isn't that something?
We went, I well remember that Missy and we did a thing at the Lincoln Parish Early Childhood Center on Halloween. And then we left there and went and sat down with a millennial for them to teach us what to do. And I mean, I kid you not, because we knew this is not in our normal wheelhouse. It's not our natural wheelhouse. And so we needed someone to instruct us. And they took us through how to start, because when you look at it, it's a marathon and not a sprint. Mm-hmm. And so we became very intentional about how do we do this. I mean, we scheduled it because we had to get into this and feel like we were doing it. So, I mean, we did not even really launch until probably a month after that. So we have grown incrementally. I mean, you look at that from, December to where we are now in April. And so 34 people have caught on. If you divide that down by the number of months, I consider that a win. And so if a year from now we look at that and we've doubled that, then I feel like we're doing better. And we probably don't know how to promote it the way we need to. We've been focusing on making sure, because we talked to the communications team at Tech when we started this, and it was hilarious. I told her, I said, okay, is there any rule about us doing this? And she said, well, I'm going to do everything I can to discourage you from doing it. I mean, she said, but in her experience, people have good intentions. They start it and then they don't, keep things on it and all. So that's where we became very intentional about, okay, let's structure it to where we know at least twice a week, these days, something's going up. And so that's been our first step. And we have maintained that. I mean, we've not missed.
Yeah, it can't be anything static. When websites, you can post them almost like a business card, a standard website, and then you can leave it up there, and then people just come and they get the information they need. But with social media, you're absolutely correct. You're mandated basically to continually update, to keep the engagement, to keep people following, and to get more followers and more engagement, right? Because it's not just about a one-way communication. We want people to comment. We want people to ask questions, and it's a bit of a management. You have to manage that basically. So let me go back to the web page for just a second, or to the Facebook page. Here at Louisiana Delta Community College, I am the division chair for the School of Business and Technology, and we have a School of Business and Technology Facebook page as well. And what you can do when you manage multiple pages is you can log in as that page or as that entity, and you can like and follow other pages. And so right here, I don't know if y'all can see the change. You can't see my mouse, but I'm going to click.
Are you fixing to do it?
I'm going to click like, and now School of Business and Technology has officially liked the page, and then I'm going to click down here on the three dots. This is how you do it. It's so simple. and then you just click the three dots, and you have all sorts of options. And if I click on, I'm already following. Okay, I thought I was doing something new, but we already were following. But
Okay.
if we weren't following, let's say we unfollowed, and then we clicked again to follow, we would be the 35th follower. See, I thought I was going to do something special.
You did, though. You liked. I mean, so that was cool. Yeah.
Right. So anyway, it's as simple as that. That's all you have to do, and then you get the updates in your notifications every time something's posted to the Schools Region 8 LaSTEM Center. We're proud to follow the page. We keep informed on it, and we just appreciate the work that you're doing, because we know it's something new for you guys, and it's one more thing to manage along with all of the wonderful activities that you put on for the region. But hey, it's enjoyable.
And I'm going to add this too, that we started Facebook and Instagram at the same time. And on Instagram, I hope I say this correctly, we have a link tree that has our podcast on it. And so every time we do a podcast and Ryan sends the link, we add it to, is it called a link tree? Am I saying that the right
You're
thing?
right.
Oh, look
Absolutely.
at that go. And so, I mean, when we did this, we were already doing the podcast. We added the Facebook and the Instagram, and we're still learning. Missy, who is my partner in crime with this, I prepare the post, I send them to her, she makes sure they get up. I mean, it's a team effort, and so we put those little hashtag things, and we feel like we're not doing that correctly, or because
I love how you said that. Those little hashtag.
Well,
things.
like I said, it's in the tree. It's in a box on the tree, and so to make sure that those are connecting with the groups, that what we're doing. So I feel like we still have some work to do there. But again, I am incredibly proud of Missy for how she has really taken this to the next level. I mean, we were at ground zero. We were below ground zero because really neither one of us wanted to do it. But this goes back to that STEM mindset. This is something that needed to take place. And so we had to problem solve how to do that. It meant reaching out to somebody that knew what was going on, learning something. And we are still in a learning mode. And that, again, connects back to that STEM mindset.
It always changes too. I mean, in the wild, wild west of technology, and specifically
Wild, wild west.
social media
Wild, wild
technologies, that it's gonna. So I don't feel like we're ever quite caught up on any of this stuff. Let's go back to the Facebook page just for a second, though, because I want to scroll down, because what we really are interested in, besides just how to follow, what's going on, how to post. And I'm looking at a beautiful young lady with a big smile, and this is related to girls in aviation. Tell us a little bit about this.
So we have a great organization on the Tech campus, Women in Aviation, and every year they do a special event out at the Ruston Airport. And so they set up booths and activities, and they give young girls, and they open it up to boys as well. But it's really to show these young ladies that there's a place for you in aviation, which is obviously a part of STEM. And so I love the picture. And there's a young man. See, they have fun things like bingo. That's one of the young tech pilots there on the right. And we talk a lot, Ryan, about kids seeing who they could be. That looks like me. I could do that. And so that young girl climbing up in the cockpit of that plane with a university student who is in aviation and learning to be a pilot, and to imagine themselves in that role. Sometimes that's the biggest takeaway. If she can do it, I can do it, because of the conversations and that look on that young girl's face. I mean, you're exactly right. I mean, does anything get any better than that? When I think about that child leaving and the spark that has, been ignited in her, whether she ends up in aviation or not, she sees I can tackle the world, because these college students that are mentoring them through that, they instill that in them. And so we are so proud to partner with the Women in Aviation group, and we support them, and we provide supplies and materials, and we help them, push the event out. The VFW volunteered and provided some tables and chairs. Have to give them a shout out, because he is the associate producer of this, right? And so it really is just kind of a collective effort, which is what we're all about here. And so it was a marvelous event. So proud of them.
Yeah, I mean, and certainly there's a certain amount of pictures on the Facebook page. I didn't know if you came armed with additional pictures.
I don't think I have any more of that. Yeah.
Okay. Just double check it.
I actually had my shingles were in full bloom at that time, and our associate producer was taking care of that for us.
Well, he took some excellent pictures.
He did a great job.
Yeah. We need to have him on the show sometime. If he would just get in, maybe he's the behind the scenes kind of guy.
He was very comfortable there.
But if he ever wants to be on the show, certainly we need to get him in here. So let's see if I can scroll over. It's funny how how technology works and you lose your mouse. Let's get back to Facebook.
Yeah,
for a
that sounds like a bigger problem, losing your mouse. Okay.
and then show us
Okay.
what this is about.
So I love this. And so you're like, well, who is this and what's going on? You know, every Friday, we were very intentional about this. Every Friday, we feature a woman in STEM, a real woman in STEM, something they've done. And that's because our statewide initiative is Girls in STEM. And so we're all about representation and showing the different areas and different women. And I mean, one day we were featuring the scientists that actually came to Tech and visited back in the fall, and we were able to invite girls to it. And so every Friday, if you want to learn something about a real woman in STEM, we've got a post that features them and tells what they do. And so that was one of our recent ones. I think it's just amazing because we are so limited in our view from where we are in our little place in the world. And then you look at all this and like, oh my gosh, people really do that? You know, I mean, and look at her. She looks so normal. Kids tend to, I mean, people have a real skewed idea of what's going on. And I mean, I just think it's fabulous.
I just want to click the like button. Maybe I'm going to heart it. We're live, I'm saying live on television, but we're doing this real time.
I'm watching this.
I'm loving the fact that this page is up, and I'm loving this post, so we're going to give it a love. Now let's, and again, every Friday, right?
Every Friday,
a woman
in STEM. Yeah,
that's perfect. Because it's for everybody.
That's right.
For everybody.
It is.
Now, if we scroll down a little bit more,
this is great.
You be the chemist. These can I put on some? I've always asked, right? When am I going to get my chance to be an adult in STEM and get some STEM education? These goggles are cool. I just feel like there's a little, it's fun. It looks like a little hint of danger if I have to put on some protective gear. I'm starting to think of like Double Dare on Nickelodeon with the slime and everything. So tell us about this.
So let me say, the goggles, again, the kids are in the, let me just back it up. So, because I'm getting all excited. So what we're seeing here is post You Be the Chemist. We had our You Be the Chemist challenge, and then we kicked off our Middle Grades in the Mix project. This is funded by an EPSCoR grant that we worked with Dr. Bill Deese on, and we will bring a total of 200 students onto the Tech campus throughout the spring, and they actually have the opportunity to go in and work with the chemistry professors on a real chemistry experience. And so they're in a university lab. They put on their goggles. We insist because that's just lab safety.
Insurance.
But yeah. But here's the deal. You put on the goggles and you become that person. You are actually in the space doing the work. They're working with there's Dr. Bill Deese, and he does a demonstration show, and he is just fabulous. He is our fearless leader. I have to tell you, shout out to Bill. It was the summer of 1989 that I took my first professional development experience. It was 8 weeks in the summer I spent with that wild man doing chemistry, and it changed my life. And so for adults out there, you never know what opportunity to continue your learning is going to completely transform your journey, and that did. I would not be sitting here with you today if had it not been for that summer with Bill. And so to still be working with him all these years later, and he is still so interested and engaged in inspiring young minds. And so he's doing some of his wild demonstrations there. Look, kids see smoke, they want to see fire, they want to see stuff blow up.
Right.
And we give it to them. We give it to them every time. We blow up hydrogen balloons, rattle the windows, and they just get excited. But these are middle grades kids. They're in a university setting. They do half of the experiment in the morning. They do half of the experiment in the afternoon. We talk to them about chemistry careers. Dr. Christy Ruddock is new on the Tech faculty, and she's part of this. Kyle Rugg is new, and he's working his way up. So they're in there interacting with these kids. And just look at that. I mean, I look at the intentionality and the intensity of that young man that's there, and then his partner looking over. It's thrilling to see them do that.
Yeah, they're definitely fully engaged.
Absolutely.
His partner has a pen, looks like in his hand, ready to write down or scribble down some notes, based on the experiment or whatever procedure they're doing. Just absolutely incredible.
What they're doing is in the morning, they go through this thing where they do a series of observations, and then they react different powders with different liquids. And then in the afternoon, they are given a crime scene scenario, and they have to take the unknown, and based on what they did in the morning, they've got to figure out what this substance is they found at the crime scene. So,
Wait a minute. Sounds like CSI to me.
it does. But there you go. Chemistry is involved in CSI. And so we look at how chemistry is used in the real world, and they are developing their skills and hopefully their interest in pursuing their education once they get out of high school. Look, for some of these kids, they've never been on a university campus. They've certainly never been in a university lab. And suddenly they see themselves in this wonderful space doing this great stuff and being successful and having a great time. They have a great time. And so this is one of our favorite things to do. We love this in the springtime. Yeah.
And as we scroll through the pictures, I'm liking the fact that there's some branding going on. Lincoln Prep School.
That is Lincoln Preparatory School there, yes.
It's so good. And all these smiling faces. Again, I don't think I would say, are you staging these?
No, not at all.
These pictures, because every time I look at a picture, it's always a great one. Like you said, intentionality, there's focus, a lot of smiles and laughter and amazement. Maybe, surprised that, if I'm a kid and I'm in this space, I'm like, wow, I didn't know I could do this. I didn't know that I would be so interested in what I'm doing right here. But you bring the concepts to life. You partner with the right people, the right teachers.
That's right.
And you get the right activities going so that these kids realize, oh, wow, there's a whole wide world out here that I can dive into. And probably they leave saying, I want more of it.
That's it. And when they go through the thing and they learn about the different, they just can't imagine these careers out there. This was a card sort we did about careers that involve chemistry. And so they look at what goes on, but they also learn the kind of living they could make. Like, I could have a great life doing something that is fun and interesting and impactful, and so it's a big deal. I mean, it's a great project.
Oh, we circled back to the great professor himself.
The great professor himself.
So, you mentioned careers, and I feel like every time we talk on this podcast, we end up talking about careers because we always want to link, for those that are asking the question, well, what can I do with a degree in STEM or education in STEM? And we always I'm glad that activity was there, because that brings the point home.
Mm-hmm.
We're not just doing this to have fun. Science experiments aren't just out there just
That's
so we
right.
can see an egg fry on the sidewalk or
That is pretty cool, right?
Right. Oh, we get a magnifying glass to burn a hole in a piece of paper, right? I mean, there's actually application to this. And, one of the things as we were walking in and you talked to our career services coordinator, Julie Salter, on Louisiana Delta Community College's campus, and she talked to you, I'm assuming, if she didn't, I hope that she would eventually, about that clothing closet that we have and how important it is that not only that we prepare our young minds to, to have the skills it takes to become a professional, but also you have to have a certain look.
Listen, there was a young man, and Julie was quite frank and honest. And of course, I'm a career educator, so this doesn't surprise me in the least. But he has an interview this afternoon, and he had nothing to wear that would be appropriate. So there's a clothes closet. We have the same thing at Louisiana Tech University. And I told her, I said, this is so important. People don't realize that students, I don't care if they're just coming out of high school or if they're adults that are going back to further their education, they're sometimes giving up everything to pursue that dream. And so to be there and to be able to help them and to equip them in a way that empowers them for success, huge. Watching this young man come out after he had put on the jacket and put on the shirt and the pants. And I mean, we were there to encourage him and support him and tell him how awesome he looked. And my husband, our associate producer, was over there saying, let's go stand over here instead. It'll make a better shot, I mean, and just letting him know how important this step that he's taking is. And so that he will know that move he's making this afternoon for that interview, whatever the job is, this is a stepping stone for where he's going to be. It's so important, and we're with you in this. It's huge.
It can't be understated. We keep talking the same thing. It's support. It's support for our young people, again, whether it's through education or through, like I said, empowering them to be able to get the right look together so that they can get out there and be successful.
And it affects their confidence.
That's
it
right.
affects their confidence. I think about in all these things we look at, I think in just a second we're going to look at a Boys and Girls Club thing. This is all about building confidence. I can do this. I may not want to do this exact thing the rest of my life, but if I can do this, I can do something else. And there's somebody sitting out there that's waiting on somebody to say, you can, you can do this. And that's a big part of what we do with these young people.
Now, you just segued right into it.
Did
so,
I now?
Boys and Girls Club of North Louisiana from Claiborne Parish.
Right.
We're at Louisiana Tech University for a special STEM day. And what happened here?
Well, this was interesting. So, El Dante Osborne, who is the man when it comes to Boys and Girls Club, he oversees our club in Ruston, but he's kind of like taking over. We're going to end up with one giant Boys and Girls Club across the I-20 corridor. So they're working with Claiborne Parish now, which is not officially in our region, but that's okay.
We'll take them anyway.
That's okay, because you know what? We should be open to whoever. And so he said, Kathy, can we bring them for a STEM day? And I said, absolutely. And so this was not on our schedule, but we made it happen. It was that important for these young people to come over and, number one, visit a university campus and see what the possibilities are out there.
right.
And then to have an opportunity to work on some things. So they did a great activity on wombats, which I'm all about a wombat. It's one of the most unusual animals on the planet, and it's fabulous. And so we have this whole thing where they learn about the wombat and they work with technology. Here's this young, this is one of my favorite pictures. This young lady, she's programming. You can't really see the little bee bot there. It looks like a bee right down there at the bottom of the page. But anyway, programming it so that it goes through this maze, that we have set up. And then they did some engineering design to create something to keep the wombat out of stuff, because the wombat likes to tear stuff up, And so it was taking a really unique theme with the wombat, learning about something that's not native to where we are in North Louisiana, certainly, but then using it through a series of learning experiences. And they just look at the face on that young lady. She was successful. She's having a great time, and it was just a wonderful experience. There's my buddy Missy Woolley helping, and so just a super day. And so again, you want to open the doors. That's what all this is about, Ryan. I was thinking a while ago, it's about opening doors, opening windows to the future. There's a child, I guarantee you, that was in that group that made a decision that day that I'm going to do something that I didn't know I could do. Look at that. I mean, is that some excitement or what?
It certainly is.
Yeah.
Wow. These young kids, I mean, their faces, just lit up. Everybody's lit up. Even the adults are smiling because they know that there's something special happened here on this day. And it kind of goes back to what you said before. You said, you remember working with Professor Dees,
yes,
a long time ago, and spent 8 weeks, you said, working, and all of a sudden now that changed the course of your life, to being a person who really enjoys STEM and STEM education.
And let me just say this too. I did not want to take that class that summer. I did 8 weeks of chemistry in the summer. I didn't want to do it. I did not. And they insisted. In fact, Dr. Carolyn Talton was like, no, Kathy, you're going to do this. I need you in there. I didn't know at the time they had an NSF grant. They needed 20 participants. They had 19. And so she dragged me into this kicking and screaming. But part of that, too, was the fact that they saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. I didn't think that I was capable of 8 weeks of chemistry in the summer, and that I didn't have that confidence for it. But they pushed me, they encouraged me, they supported me, and I was successful, and it changed my life. And so when we're working with these young kids, I have that point of reference of that's not something I wanted to do. I didn't see myself in that role. Somebody else saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And we have that responsibility with these youngsters that we're working with today. Even our adults, you may have teachers that don't see that in themselves, and so, yeah, good stuff.
All right. This is a reminder to everybody. And I'll cut back to the Facebook page one more time just to say, look up SCILS Region 8 LaSTEM Center. Lots of great content. And if you can't wait for the podcast episodes, you can always stay up to date, up to the minute on Facebook and Instagram just by subscribing. So give them a like, follow them.
That's right.
And everything, I'm telling you will be thankful for it. You'll get your daily dose or, weekly dose at least of STEM experiences and education and women in STEM all on this one page. And again, Region 8. We have to support our area. This area that we call home, we want to make sure that we're shining a light because there's a lot of great things going on in this area.
Yeah, and speaking of that, so if Ryan, I'm going to see just how smart you are over there. If you can switch over to my laptop screen.
Bing, there
Bing,
we go.
look at you go. How grateful am I that Ryan's in charge of the buttons over there?
Look, I'm only pushing one or
Yeah.
two. So
I'm in
keep it
charge of
real
my
simple.
mouth. He's in charge of the buttons. Okay, so what you're seeing here is a picture of the Bearcat robotics team from Ruston High School. There was a student at Ruston High School that really, really, really wanted to do robotics. I mean, he wanted to do serious robotics.
Okay.
So his dream was to get it happening. And so Sarah Wages on campus said, okay, I will support this. We'll get it going. And so they started in January. They wrote a grant. They got into the first robotics realm. And that thing, y'all, when we talk about robots, most people are thinking about little things that are in our hands or on top of.
Oh,
you,
yeah.
You see that big giant thing that they're working on there? That is their robot.
It looks pretty sizable.
Yeah, it looks like Jetsons on steroids. And so there he is. I mean, there they are working on this. And they are actually at their first competition, the very first competition they went to. And I wanted to show them this because this is a young team. This is a team that is finding their way, a school that's finding its way. It had a teacher, in fact, a trio of teachers that said, okay, we're going to stand with you. We're going to make this happen. And what ended up happening at their first competition, they had incredible challenges. They did not get the outcome that they had hoped for, but they never stopped. They kept problem solving and critical thinking and making their way through it. And they ended up being named with this Spirit Rookie of the Year award, and they got a wild card to go to the national competition. Wow. Now, they have not even been a team for 6 months, but because of their tenacity and because of their spirit of competition and never give up, they were given an opportunity, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Can I just do a close-up? Since
I
I'm
want
pressing
you to.
buttons over here.
Press them.
Okay, look. So that's full screen or as full screen as possible. Look at, wow, amazing. So you said this was the first team.
First team.
Ever. Ruston High School.
First competition.
First competition. Wow.
And
amazing.
here's the thing. It started because of a student's passion. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times we discount student passion. We're like, we don't have time for that. You should be focusing on something else. But this student was heard. Mm-hmm. There was a teacher that heard this student, Sarah Wages, and they got other people involved. And look at that. I wouldn't give anything for the looks on those kids' face. And they came back and they only had 2 weeks to try and get the money to go to nationals.
2 weeks.
And made it happen. Hey, look, you know what? Back up and get out of the way of a bunch of young people on a mission. Mm-hmm. And that's a good one. Yeah. And so, again, I guarantee you there are people involved in this that this experience changed their life. It changed their life.
That's
I can't
special.
wait to see what they're going to do next year. It's amazing.
That is really special. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Wow. Because who would have? And again, it's those things that we don't hear about. It takes shows like this. It takes effort from Skills Region 8 to broadcast these things. I've said a few times. I've even told my son, it's like really need to have a channel devoted to like academic competitions and things. This is exciting stuff, and you can get your juices flowing. You can get revved up really easily. With trying your best at something, and there's no offense to sports, but trying your best at something other than
that's it.
The physical aptitude that you might need in some of those spectator sports. This right here, using your mind to overcome challenging problems and achieve things that you didn't think were possible for yourself or your team or your school, bringing home the trophy. It's
That's
all
huge.
the same thing.
It's huge, and the persistence that's developed through that is something they're going to need their entire life. I'm telling you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I've got one more thing for
Okay.
us to share. So what you're seeing here is my compadre, Missy Woolley, and that is actually in Atlanta, Georgia. We went over for the National Science Teaching Association National Conference, and we had been invited to do a presentation for a National Science Leaders organization, their leadership summit. So we were getting ready to go do that, but we attended one of the sessions there. And what you're seeing is Missy doing an activity that we had developed and done here at home. Mm-hmm. And, we discovered ways to improve. But here's something to say. we should never discount what we're doing here in little old North Louisiana,
That's right.
because it is every bit as meaningful and impactful as what goes on anywhere else. These
You
are some of
probably
the
opened some eyes
Yeah.
up, like, wow, we could do that.
We can
Okay.
do that.
And then others from other areas are then going to adopt maybe some of those activities as well.
Right. So these are some of the national leaders that we were working with. We got such great feedback on this, and it was just a really good experience. But at the same time, we
I love the cave.
yeah. So we went, and I found, and y'all know in a previous episode of our podcast, we talked about our recipe for rural STEM. So the organization, or the company, I should say, that produced our STEM kits, they were pushing those out.
Wow.
Bragging on them. So look down there at the bottom of it. You see, there's our logo. That's us. And the national convention, people are seeing this kit that was put together for our recipe for rural STEM. We were very, very proud of that,
Skills
by the
Region
way.
8 went national.
We
maybe
were national.
even international.
Didn't even know it, but just showing, I mean, what we do here has value. People think it's, important. And so that was a big deal for us. And if you think I'm wearing a cape, you are right, because Missy and I earned our Legends of Learning capes while we were there. So
Yes,
talk
perfect.
about, we were learning ourselves, but having a good time at the same time. And so we came home with our capes.
I love
and
this.
Actually, this group that we earned our capes with, we have partnered with them on something we hope that's going to be really meaningful for Region 8. And there I am at the Share-a-thon,
Yeah, that's
telling
nice.
everybody. And so to have an opportunity to be, like you said, on the national stage and say, here we are, and this is what we're doing, that was a great opportunity for us. And people are amazed at what's taking place in Louisiana, and to be a small part of that, well, that's just a big deal.
Wow. So I have to ask then, can you bring the cape next time so that
can
we
do
can
that.
have it live in studio?
Yeah.
And maybe even you could wear it. Maybe you should just wear it.
Maybe
Drive
I
down
should.
the highway wearing it, come into the building wearing it, and everybody can, wow, what's going on?
Speaking of that phone booth, I could have a phone booth and go into it, and when I come out, I can have my cape, I can have a tiara, maybe, because
Hey.
or whatever. The super bracelets that whoever did that, I don't know. I got to get my superhero straight.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, we can do that. The cape can make an appearance on the podcast.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so we're gonna.
If that's not going to bring people back, I don't know what is.
You're on the hook now. And you have to post that to Facebook and Instagram too as well.
We will do
We're
that.
looking
We will do
forward to
that.
it. Wow, what a great episode this has been. And
Fun stuff.
I don't mean to end it now, but I feel like that was that it? Was that everything?
I don't know. I'm just thinking, does this mean I have to have shingles all the time to come and do a good podcast? No, I don't want to do that.
Oh gosh. Well, again, so telling. I think we'll do it again. Maybe next month. What do you think?
Why don't
about
we do that? We'll have a lot to talk about, because next week is the SCILS mini summit, and so we'll be celebrating some big stuff, and just kind of putting a bow on the year. Doesn't seem possible that it's been a year, but it has. What a year! What a year!
Yeah, I sense celebration. I sense maybe some confetti or something.
We can
should
do
have.
it.
All right.
Pop a cork.
So for Kathy Cox Boynell, this is Ryan Pierce. It has been a pleasure once again hosting the SCILS Region 8 LaSTEM Center podcast. We hope to see you at the next one, and enjoy, and be on the lookout, and be on the Facebook page.
That's right. And earn a cape. We may be doing that next.
Bye, y'all.
Thanks, everybody.